And welcome back to the Newhouse Grad Network. This is episode 4. And listen, we have a packed show for you today. Tommy and Asha will be starting off in entertainment, and boy, did Kendrick Lamar have a big performance. Myself and Ty will be bringing you all of the sports news. Super Bowl game, AD and Luka are back, and the new Women's Lacrosse League. And then Cedric and Jack have news. Trump on Gaza, a loaded gun at the airport, and some special events for the Syracuse men's basketball team. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome to Cuse Lounge. I'm Asha Breedlove, along with
Tommy Rooney.
Now, Tommy, is you like that? Kendrick set the stage on fire. What do you think about his halftime show performance?
I honestly thought it was awesome. It was very polarizing, I feel like. I've been in a lot of conversations with people, and I feel like I've had to defend it a little bit, which...
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
But honestly, like, I feel like the moment that we were all waiting for was he going to play the song? And he teased it, and then he did it. And I feel like that was one of the coolest moments at halftime show that I've ever witnessed personally. And the numbers have come out since the show, and it's the most viewed halftime show of all time.
The most viewed halftime show of all time. Are we surprised, though?
I feel like it's going to continue to go in that direction because, obviously, like, just as more people watch the show, like, especially when it's somebody that's having the year that Kendrick has had,
yeah,
those numbers are going to continue to go up probably as far as we keep going. But 133.5 million people watched that performance. And what a week for Kendrick after the Grammys last week. And
five Grammys.
Yeah, 5 Grammys, swept the Grammys in that category for that song, and then now he's performing that song live at the Super Bowl. I thought that was an awesome performance.
And the song in particular that we're talking about is Not Like Us, if you didn't know. Not Like Us. it was interesting how he really crafted the performance around that song. It's kind of as if like, will he, won't he, will he, won't he, and ultimately he did. But to an artist of that magnitude, with this being one of his biggest songs, it's not surprising that he did not do Not Like Us. It's really put the mark and came out in May 2024, and it's still running numbers as of now. So.
Well, yeah, and I think that something that added like some context to it that made it more interesting was the report that came out a couple days before the show saying that Drake might sue him for defamation if he played out in front of 100+ million people on national television. And so they kind of did that with Kendrick, referenced that with like, they love to sue part when he was talking to the dancers on screen. And so I thought that was really cool that he kind of like set it up and then went into the songs with SZA and then came back and did it. And I thought it was really cool. And when you think about like the way that this beef started,
right?
Drake and J. Cole doing first-person shooter mode, and then they in that song say "Big as the Super Bowl." That's like the chorus.
And now he's on the Super Bowl.
A year later, Kendrick's as big as the Super Bowl, and he was actually trending over the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, which is pretty crazy. So he literally is bigger than the Super Bowl.
Right, and you have not only SZA, you have Serena Williams on the stage with Kendrick sea-walking, paying a nod back to the 2012 Olympics where she actually sea-walked after winning her match. So that's kind of, and then there's a whole nother lore with that as well with Serena.
Yeah, especially, Serena and SZA, both former exes of Drake.
Right.
So it was really just like Let's Bury Drake fest. Two of your exes on stage with Kendrick, who's probably the #1 person that he hates the most in life right now.
Right.
But talking about SZA, I thought she was phenomenal. SZA's
amazing.
One of my favorite artists. Like, she has been for years. And I thought it was a really cool full circle moment for her.
Right.
To be able to do All the Stars on that stage, and that was the song that put her on the map for a lot of people back in 2018. And that song is beautiful. I love that song. Same thing with Luther. It was great. And like, she has one of the best voices in music right now, in my opinion. I feel like
really
to be on that, absolutely, and to be on that stage really showcase her to a lot of people. Like, my mom didn't know who she was. She was like, I really like her voice. I'm like, yeah, me too.
All I have to say is SZA's mic was on. The mic was on, the vocals were vocaling, the outfit was outfitting. She looked wonderful and amazing on the stage. She was hitting her dance move. She hit her leg up. I was like, all right, SZA, I see you, girl. And it was just so, the timing of how it was structured from Kendrick and his, the hardness of Kendrick's rap to the softness of SZA's vocals and the flow of it all, it just worked so well together. There was a lot of symbolisms in that as well. And we also have to mention Samuel Jackson, his Uncle Sam, narrating from top to bottom, starting the show. People didn't expect Samuel. We know about SZA, we know about Kendrick, but we didn't know about Samuel Jackson. So just kind of seeing him narrate the whole story, it was a lot of symbolisms, within that whole performance. Like, it was perfectly illustrated with the whole game controller thing and the whole game over. It was perfectly orchestrated with all of it.
I feel like this performance was like at the level of like art. And art is open to interpretation. That's the point of it. It's supposed to make you think. And I feel like the stuff, especially that Samuel L. was saying with like the too loud, too ghetto, and then also when they made the American flag out of the dancers.
Right.
I feel like those things were supposed to be things that you like, maybe you missed right away, but you're supposed to like think about them more and understand what he was trying to do with that. And I feel like he definitely hit the mark with those. And then it also kind of comes into play with some more context that happened before. A group of Republican Louisiana legislators sent a letter to New Orleans Sports Foundation demanding that Kendrick's show not be lewd or offensive.
Wow.
And so I feel like that kind of like the message that Samuel L. was trying to get at in that performance, it's like historically relevant, but it's also relevant up until today with them saying that they don't want it to be lewd or offensive. And so I thought that was really cool that Samuel L. was willing to do that, and especially because his name is Samuel, Uncle Sam kind of just worked perfectly.
It worked perfectly. And also the thing with the American flag, having dancers as the American flag, but not just dancers, all black male dancers as well as the American flag. Just so many symbolisms within that as well. The American flag is just a thing that we see all the time, and it's so many things that go along with it. Of course, of the thing of like, it could have been reference to like, how the country of America was built off of the backs of black people. So much going into that. Kendrick is, what can we expect? We couldn't expect less from a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Absolutely.
Like, there's not less that we could expect from that. Let's get into, I know we mentioned Serena, but Serena, got to go back to that. She was amazing, like perfectly timing for her.
I mean, it's cool. It's like, obviously she's from Compton, Kendrick's from Compton, so I feel like that, like for her to be able to be on a stage like the Super Bowl, And like, you know, like obviously the Drake connection is kind of just like a funny thing that like before the Super Bowl, the rumor was like that Kendrick has a big surprise. I'm not sure if that was referencing Serena, referencing Samuel, or both of them. But I feel like those were definitely cool surprises. Everybody kind of pointed at the TV and was like, damn. But yeah, shout out to Serena. That was really cool. And there was like some discourse afterwards. It was like, why are you still trying to like think about your ex or whatever? It's like, I don't think it was like specifically because of that. I think it was just to be a part of that moment. It was really cool. So I'm glad that she did it.
And Serena even went on social media and talked about how Kendrick's team reached out to her and kind of a nod to the thing, like I said, mentioned at the Olympics. They reached out to her for this moment exactly because, like we said, putting Compton on the map and with everything Kendrick has really put on for the West Coast, just entirely with this performance, you just feel the West Coast culture and the West Coast connection, just from the dance moves to the beats to the music, and amazing, amazing. So what would you grade this performance? We had to put it on a grading scale.
To me, it was 10 out of 10. It was A+. The only thing that I could say is that Kendrick's mic was a little too quiet.
Right.
That's not on him, though. At the end of the day, like, maybe they didn't catch that in rehearsal or whatever the case may be, but from what Kendrick could have did, it was as much as he could have done. I feel like that performance was 10 out of 10. Him having Mustard come up on the stage when they played TV.
Can't forget about Mustard.
Like, that was a great moment for him as well. And I just feel like that was really, like, as good as Kendrick could have did, and he capitalized as much as he could have capitalized on that moment with all the different interpretation and also just, like, getting the show hyped, like all the background dancers, everything was choreographed really, really beautifully.
Yeah.
And also Kendrick, I just forgot to mention this earlier, Kendrick currently occupies the top 5 spots on Spotify global charts and Apple Music global charts. So that performance worked. He's back at the top, and yeah, he's killing it right now. But what would you give it?
I gave the performance an A++++. I know you can't do that, but an A+++++. It was amazing. It checked all the marks for me. I know a lot of people on social media went and talked about how the performance wasn't entertaining enough. They were expecting a lot of bam and flash and dance moves and choreography, but it spoke to the right audience. And if you got it, you got it. If you didn't, you didn't. It wasn't meant to be entertaining. It was meant to...
I think it was entertaining in different ways.
Exactly. I think so too.
Like the choreograph was definitely cool, and like just because you don't have like necessarily the theatrics that other shows in the past may have had, there's different meanings that you like, especially with all like the hype built from the beef, that you're kind of like waiting, is he gonna do the song? And then you got the whole crowd singing the song. It was the song of the year, so that like you don't necessarily get to have like the song of the year played at the Super Bowl that year. So that's kind of a cool
That's a great point.
And I feel like also with like rap music in general, it's kind of hard to give it like the same feel because you can't curse on TV, so he kind of has to like pause for certain words or like change up the words. So
yeah.
It doesn't make it like as authentic, but that's not up to him. You can't change that. So I feel like it was really, really good, and I enjoyed it a lot.
So this is a Super Bowl. We know Super Bowl is not only known for its halftime show and the game, not even going to mention the game, the commercials.
Yep.
What did we think about the Super Bowl commercials this year? Because I gotta have some opinions on it myself. But what did you think, Tommy?
It was disappointing. It was overall disappointing.
Straight like that.
Like, a lot of people, I feel like, kind of agree with that. Like, I don't feel like that's a hot take. I feel like in past years, especially growing up,
yeah,
commercials growing up, I feel like that was like appointment viewing. And I feel like it still is because people are hoping that they're going to be good. But this year it was really disappointing. Like, I'm looking for funny ones. That's kind of like what I'm expecting, that companies are going to try to like, you know, have like their best out of the year be this Super Bowl. The ones that stood out to me, though, were the Nike So Win commercial featuring Aja Wilson, Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, Jordan Childs, and it was narrated by Doechii, so shout out Doechii.
Right, shout out Doechii.
And I thought it was cool, like the idea of it, like the whole like just do it kind of be flipping into So Win. Like I feel like that narration was cool by Doechii, and I thought it was a powerful message. And then also the NFL's commercial promoting flag football. It was like kind of like I don't know what the right word for it would be, but it was like supposed to be like they were acting more than like a regular commercial where they were kind of, like on camera. So it was like they had the girl come in and beat the guys in flag football at like practice one
Yes,
day.
I saw that commercial.
The whole goal of the commercial was to promote getting all 50 states to have flag football be an official varsity sport. And so I feel like they did a good job of promoting that in that commercial, and it was a good ad. It was kind of funny as well.
Yeah.
With the Brad character, Chad, whatever his name was. But overall, like I was disappointed with the rest of the commercial.
I agree with you, Tom. The commercials this year were a little lackluster, and we're looking for the funny when it comes to the commercial. We're looking for the one that have us talking about it for years and years and years to come. But there wasn't really any commercials like that this year that really hit that spot, that really combined the funny and the quirky all together and really hit that sweet spot. Of course, we got our impactful commercials like the ones you talked about. I think those were more of what people are going for when it comes to the commercials these days. We're kind of losing the list of the funny and getting to more of the impactful and the informational. One commercial that really stood out to me, it was kind of weird. It was Seal, the singer Seal, as a seal, singing as well. But he wasn't like as a seal. It was his face in his head on a seal.
Yeah.
I don't understand the point of that commercial. It was a little, I saw a TikTok of a little girl react to it. She was like, huh? It was a little strange, but we really, commercial people, we just gotta do better. We gotta do better and make our commercials more funny and bring the people together again.
I mean, I think there's certainly a place for the impactful ads, the statement ads, especially for companies like Nike and the NFL who are trying to promote like good causes. And I feel like there was attempts to do funny ones, they just weren't funny. Like, I think it was Hellman's Mayo did the one with like Sydney Sweeney and I don't know, Billy Crystal, I think his name is. That just wasn't funny to me. Like, I didn't think the Seal one was funny. It was kind of more like creepy, scary. So yeah, we just need to get more people in the room that are funny.
I agree. We got to get the funny writers.
And that Dorito one we were talking about before, the barbershop, that should have been picked.
That barbershop Dorito commercial is one that'll definitely go down in history. We will remember that one. Even though it wasn't on TV, you can find it on all social media platforms. That one is definitely one that will go down in history. We're going to remember that one forever and ever and ever and ever.
I also think we're going to remember that Super Bowl halftime show forever. I'm excited to see who next year's is going to be. And that's all the time we got for Cuse Lounge this week. We will be back next week with more entertainment news.
And I am Kobe Scales, and I'm with
Sansbury.
Welcome back to Newhouse Grad Network. This is the Orange Zone. What Drake said? Big as the what? Big as the Super Bowl. Now, obviously Drake wasn't there. There was somebody else there.
Yeah, somebody he's not a fan of.
Yeah,
but
we're going to start off with who won, though, first. Ty, last week we made predictions that the Chiefs would get the win. That did not happen.
all I can do is shake my head right now.
This is sick. I think it's sick for both of us, actually, though.
Listen, right? You know what I'm saying? Leading up to the Super Bowl, we were like, oh, Chiefs. And it was wishful thinking, obviously.
It was.
I knew beforehand the Eagles were the better football team. So the outcome is not surprising. I just don't like it. That's the bottom line. I just don't like it.
Didn't want it to happen.
What make it worse, the game wasn't competitive.
At all.
Not a single moment in the game was it competitive. I think that's what really killed me. I was like, we could have beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, the Eagles got 16 pressures on Mahomes, 6 sacks, they forced 3 turnovers, and had a defensive touchdown. They had a 38.1 pressure rate without blitzing. All they did was spend their time in cover 4, a variation of cover 4, and not blitz, but rush 4, and got Mahomes all night.
I mean, that was the most sacks Mahomes has ever taken in a game. We had bad commercials. We had a bad game. Mahomes puts up 22 points.
Kendrick Lamar was and that's even polarizing. So what was really about the Super Bowl?
I mean, we got a friend named Cedric, and he's an Eagles fan.
I know a couple of them.
He texted me in the middle of the second quarter. You know how bad
Listen,
it was?
though.
Somebody texted me in the middle of the second quarter and was basically showboating already.
You know how bad it was? When the Chiefs and them were down, I'm like, they still got time.
Man.
You seen what Brady did against the Falcons? They still got time.
I had hope all the way up until the DeAndre Hopkins drop.
That was bad.
DeAndre Hopkins drops the ball. Also, DeAndre Hopkins, you dropped the ball, but congratulations on a great 11-year career. DeAndre Hopkins informed Andy Reid this morning that he would be retired. Congratulations.
Oh, that's soft.
The ball in the Super
My
Bowl.
fault. Great career. That's soft, though.
I mean, he been playing for 11 years. I mean, it
might
be time to wrap it up.
I get it.
I get it.
You wanna lead a game before the game leave you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move. Jalen Hurts.
He had a great performance.
Is it enough to move you though? Is it enough to move?
I didn't expect him to play bad. Before the game, I thought they had all the right pieces to make sure that he had a very well game, and he did just that. He had 3 total touchdowns, 1 on the ground. He had 72 yards rushing. He was almost perfect passing the ball. I mean, that's what you could ask for. And even the Chiefs, they went all out to stop Saquon, but the offense is still the offense. And what really hurt the Chiefs is the fact that they couldn't do anything offensively. So that gave Hurts and them easy chances.
Well, speaking of high-powered offenses, your Syracuse number 2 ranked men's lacrosse team went out and got a win over number 17 ranked Towson, 18-7. Luke Roa had 4 goals. Owen Hiltz had 3 goals of his own. Luke Roa tied his career high in goals. I mean, this lacrosse team is nasty.
Nasty. Like you say, in their first 3 games, they're averaging 18 goals right now. They're only giving up 5 per 6. That is dominant on both sides. And like you say, they had another game where multiple players scored 2, 3, or more goals. And when you have consistency on offense like that and there's nobody you can really single out to stop, they're going to do real good. And they got a big test this weekend. And
I'm talking about, you got All-American and Joey Spallina who went out there the game before on Friday night against Vermont, put up 10 points, 5 goals, 5 assists, and then comes out against Towson and doesn't have a bad game, just didn't really have to do much because the rest of the team was balling. So I think when you have a high-powered offense like that, the world is really yours. They've been saying that this is the best lacrosse team that Syracuse has had since the national championship.
I can see it.
Back when. I can see it. Moving on, women's lacrosse, 21-9 win over University of Albany. Olivia Adamson, 3 goals, 3 assists. Her running mate, Emma Ward, 3 goals, 2 assists. They're nasty as well, but I think the bigger story for the women's lacrosse team is 5 freshmen, all 5 of them are ranked top 100 as freshmen coming in.
That's winners for your program. When you get people early that you can rely on and they can play the position well, and You rank 6 in the nation.
Yeah.
You're just as good as the Voice. You might not get the same love as the Voice, but you're just as good, maybe even better. And like you say, they had 4 players that had hat tricks in the last game. So I'm interested to see what they can do this year as well.
Now, both teams travel to Maryland on Saturday. The women play at 11 o'clock. I believe the men play at 2 p.m. And sticking with lacrosse, Paul Rabel started the PLL back in 2018. Maybe some of you remember it, maybe some of you don't, but there is a professional lacrosse league, an even bigger one than had already been established by Paul Rabel. That was established back in 2018. Now in 2025, Paul Rabel has expanded the league and added the WLL, which is the Women's Lacrosse League, and tonight marks the debut of that expansion. Similar to the Olympic sixes, there will be 6 players, a 30-second shot clock, and a 10-second clearing clock. I am excited for this first game at 9 p.m. tonight. Make sure you catch that. Ty, I mean, this is going to be great.
It's great for the evolution of women's sports. Like, they needed this outlet, and I'm glad somebody took the time to truly invest in it and make it better. And I'm hopefully the league is around for a long time, and I can't wait to see the games tonight.
Man, AD and Luka are back. Well, I mean, ish, because
AD
is
out
again,
indefinitely.
Indefinitely, and obviously it was a non-contact injury. We believe that AD is out. He is out indefinitely, but we believe that it had something to do with the injury that he already had. Probably came back too early. He came back on Saturday. Everybody thought Luka was coming back on Saturday. I wonder if that played a part in it. But AD was balling before he got hurt again. 29 and 13 in like the first half or something like that.
AD was getting off. He was getting off.
And then his abdomen, something in that area.
Left abductor string. That's what they say technically.
Left abductor string?
That's what they say technically. I can't tell you. I ain't in the training staff, so I can't tell you if that's the real injury. However, he was having a game, and his first 3 quarters tell you why they made that trade. AD can play, and he did a great job for them, scoring, rebounding. He even had 7 assists before he got hurt. Like, he can do it all. So the trade can work for the Mavs. The problem everybody was worried about is AD getting hurt. And what did he do? He got hurt in his first game, and now they're going to be out with the big they traded for an extended period of time. It's going to be a different kind of ball game now.
Now, Luka is back. He played last night for the Lakers. First time, 77 in a Lakers jersey was crazy. I thought this couldn't be my real life as a Lakers fan. This cannot be my real life. It's amazing to see. I'm sure you are hating. Everybody else is hating too.
Well, I don't got no reason to hate. I'm a Celtics fan. However, Luka just looks nasty in that 77.
He looks nasty in the 77, and it's in purple and gold. I don't know. I'm happy about it though. He played a decent game last night. I think it was
nothing
only
too spectacular.
14 points or something like that. Also didn't play the fourth quarter because we were blowing out the Jazz. I mean, it was the Jazz. I'm not saying nothing there. But we blew out the Jazz.
There's nothing fun in Utah.
It's nothing fun in Utah. Nothing fun up there. But we blew out the Jazz. We were up 30. Luka didn't play in the fourth quarter. JJ had already said he would be on minutes restriction. So not much to see there. But how fun do you think this will be between him and LeBron? And 5 minutes before we came on, the Lakers signed Alex Len.
That's a decent pickup for them.
Decent pickup.
For as far as the Luka and LeBron thing, that's going to be an amazing watch for the next 2 years for them. LeBron still looks as young as ever, and Luka is obviously a dog. And he may not be 100% healthy yet, but they get the All-Star break coming up soon. And after that, Lakers fans are in for a show.
And don't sleep on Austin Reeves, who's been hooping for the Lakers very recently. He's been balling, putting on shows. So, I mean, it's just great right now in L.A. It's great in L.A. Listen, this isn't sports, but we have to talk about it. Kendrick Lamar performed at the Super Bowl halftime. I have my own thoughts and opinions. What did you think of the Kendrick Lamar performance?
I enjoyed the performance. I can't say I didn't. I enjoyed the performance. I can't really say what I expect when somebody goes and perform, but Kendrick did a good job, and I have no complaints about his performance like I've seen around on Twitter or Instagram or whatever the case may be. I thought he did a good job performing and being interactive and kind of putting his own touch in the performance. So I have no complaints.
Listen, I believe the message was great. I think it was. I think the message was great. I really don't have anything bad to say other than I do wish that Kendrick had performed, more of his
Older
hits. Yeah.
older
And
songs.
here's the thing, and it's not a knock on Kendrick. What I really believe is that there are a lot of people in this world who have forgotten who Kendrick Lamar is. Kendrick Lamar had taken that hiatus. He dropped Mr. Morales and the Big Steppers. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It didn't hit the same how we've seen Kendrick Lamar hit from 2010 to 2018 or so. Then he takes this hiatus. Then he comes back and Not Like Us happens. You know what I'm saying? And so people have kind of labeled him the Not Like Us guy, the guy that's Drake and this beefing with Drake. And I don't like that label for Kendrick Lamar. I don't like that. I wish that he would have performed some of his bigger hits and reminded everybody, the money trees, the swimming pools, and know what I'm saying? And reminded everybody, hey, I was that guy before I was beefing with Drake. I didn't just have a career come up off of Drake. I hate that for him. But I thought the message was great. I thought all of that was really good. I just didn't really like the set list, But
That's understandable. I can get with that.
It is what it is. I understand what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning back in to Newhouse Grad Network. This is the Orange Zone with Kobe Scales and Tyus Sansbury. Next, after the break, we will have the Cuse Chronicle with Cedric and Jack. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Cuse Chronicle. I'm Jack McGuire.
And I'm Cedric Derecho.
And it's been a relatively quiet week in news with the Super Bowl going on, but there were a few pressing issues that Cedric and I wanted to bring to your attention out there in the Commonwealth, and we feel that it's important that we give you the facts. So what's on the rundown for today, Cedric?
Well, you know what? Let's start off with the comments that are taking the world by storm. President Donald Trump met with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House this past week. And you know what? Trump has a plan for settling the conflict between Gaza and Israel, but it's very, very controversial. Why is that, Jack?
Yeah, well, he plans on taking everyone that's currently in the Gaza Strip and kind of allocating them out into the different countries in the surrounding area so he can go in and, as he said it himself, build it rebuild it using U.S. dollars to create almost like a vacation spot, if you will. I know a lot of heads were spinning when that was said and when that was going on, so it's kind of hard to see where he's coming from on that. So I don't really know. Obviously, the idea on itself kind of sounds ludicrous as of right now. I don't even think Netanyahu expected him to say that when he was in the meeting with him. But Trump's also known for making very unpredictable claims, and for all we know, this could be a bargaining tactic at the time. What are you thinking?
It could be a bargaining tactic, but I can also understand where Trump is coming from. He says that Gaza is a wasteland right now, which is, you know what, not too far off from reality. So he's thinking that why would these people want to return home to a place that's been, gutted, devastated by missiles and drones and just, rubble out there, where they could be relocated to other areas and have a safe haven and live in peace. But at the same time, opponents of this say that this is pretty much a modern day genocide.
Well, at the same time, though, I will challenge that because Trump ran on an agenda that kind of wanted to he's doing it with DOGE right now, reallocating American funds toward American activities, and I don't really see how this helps Americans at all, At the same time, you look at all of the chaos going on there, we don't want to put American troops on the ground, right? And he ran on that. That's something a lot of people voted for him because they thought he'd get us out of wars. I can't imagine how putting any American soldiers in the Gaza Strip would help that cause.
Well, the most difficult part about this is that he said that the Gaza citizens would not be allowed to return. And so you're essentially displacing them, which is obviously causing a firestorm around the world among all these international leaders.
Mm-hmm. But nothing's happened yet, so it very could well be a bargaining tactic. We saw him do this with the tariffs, and we saw Mexico and Canada kind of at one time say they're going to stand up to it, but then within 24 hours they folded. So who really knows what's going to happen here?
Trump is very well known for his hyperbole. Is this just more hyperbole, or is he serious?
Yeah, well, we've already flooded billions of dollars to Israel too, and after Netanyahu met with Trump at the White House, it kind of seemed like they were on the same page. I don't know. I don't really see how this helps us in any way. And Israel's last budget surplus was in 2022. Ours was in 2000, obviously, before 9/11. We haven't had a budget surplus since. And right now, one thing I will say, Trump is a mixed bag, and I think you have to treat him as such, right? Not everything he does is good, and not everything he does is bad. This is one of those things I'm finding it very hard to understand what good there is in it. But I guess we'll find out.
Well, that'll be something if in a decade from now we're going to see a bunch of Trump towers and Trump hotels and McDonald's and other Americanized, brands running down the streets of Gaza.
He does have people working for him that come from different industries that aren't, necessarily the tenured government employees. So, he's a different kind of candidate. We expected this to be different, but a couple weeks off the bat, it's been a lot of surprises so far. So.
This is completely ignoring the ethical question as well. That is the biggest question. Is it ethical to take these people away from their homes and relocate them, even if it may be a better situation for them? But that's besides the point here.
Well, isn't Israel kind of getting everything they want right now with this? They're taking the people that, we're going to see what happens after. Let's say this plan does go into effect. Who takes the land? After all this is done, right? After we supposedly rebuild the Gaza Strip and turn it into a vacation spot, who takes it, So we're going to see who it benefits in the end, but as of right now, that kind of leads us to another point with USAID.
Yep, you know what? Over 97% of the workforce of USAID has been laid off. Donald Trump ran on the campaign promise of, as you said, reallocating those funds, stop spending so much money, abroad and worry about America first, America first. You hear him say that over and over. And he's showing that with his policies here, greatly reducing USAID. But you know what? 9,700 people lost their jobs.
Yeah, they've said it. They have intentions to shut down the agency entirely. Nearly all the employees have been laid off so far. A lawsuit was actually filed by the American Foreign Service Association and the American Federation of Government Employees in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia against the administration, calling for the plan to be reversed due to the unconstitutional and illegal actions.
Right, and you know what, just a few days ago, U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols issued a temporary restraining order, pausing the plan to put these USAID employees on leave for the accelerated removal of people from their posts abroad. So what do you think about that, that court ruling?
From my understanding, I think JFK signed USAID into law through an executive order.
Yeah, back in 1961.
Back in 1960, right. So, I mean, Trump has full kind of control over this right now, right? There's nothing the judges can really do about this. I will say it is pretty crazy where we're seeing the money that was involved with USAID go to. I mean, we're seeing a lot of what I would say useless spending being uncovered. I mean, we can go through the list, but I saw a lot of clutter in there.
I will say this, though. The bulk of this money being spent is on Ukraine. I believe over $17 billion has been allocated by USAID to Ukraine. So whether or not how much that is helping them in the war effort remains to be seen. And when you take that away, does that just make Russia's victory that much easier over them?
Well, I think at a certain point you have to ask yourself is how much is too much, right? We've done everything we can. Between Ukraine and Israel, I think since 2022 we've sent $67 billion. So think about how that money could be used in other places for our own citizens. All I can think of right now is the North Carolina residents that were displaced after the awful weather that went through their state and how FEMA wrote them $700 checks. And we see $67 billion out the door. And now we're finding out that there are $1 million being spent on telling Vietnam, $11 million, I think, to tell Vietnam to stop burning trash, $70,000 on a play in Ireland, millions sent, I mean, we could pull up the list in a second, but like all of this money is being allocated for causes that don't help Americans. I can't believe we're just finding this out now, right? How many even President Trump back in 2016, why wasn't this being uncovered, right? This has been going on for such a long time, and now we're just realizing it?
Yeah, Donald Trump created the DOGE department, the Department of Government Efficiency, with Elon Musk at his head to reduce wasteful spending. He ran on this promise, and he is, for all intents and purposes, despite all the controversies, and there's a lot of controversies, he's doing exactly what he said he would.
They're following through on what they promised they do. This is why people voted for them, and at the same time, like I said, like they're not really they're not being bullied by anyone, right? They're doing what they said they do. And like I said, you got to treat Trump as a mixed bag. The Gaza stuff, awful. This stuff, I think this is very helpful. I think the last 4 or 5 presidents should have been doing this, but they didn't. And now someone's finally stepping up to the plate and doing it.
But what do you say to the countries that are affected, the countries that are relying on this money for aid, world hunger?
That's our problem. That's not our problem. We've been very generous to the world for a long time, and I think it's time that our citizens are suffering. Look at California, look at North Carolina. People are in poverty everywhere, and I already said it before. We've given billions of dollars to Israel with their budget surplus. We were funding classes over there, and they have free college in Israel. There are students struggling to get by here. Are we just going to leave them out to dry? Like I can't really see the reasoning and the logic behind it. And I think a lot of these global leaders are kind of scared at Trump stepping up to the plate now and saying, all right, we're going to start reallocating these funds back internally, domestically.
One thing's for sure, though, Jack, this is going to be a very interesting few months on Capitol Hill.
It will. We'll keep you updated with all the facts. And as we said, we opine on certain things, but our job is to give you the facts and not to tell you what to think. Moving on, we got a little bit of local news here. Book Buddies, the Syracuse University basketball team, was in a library this past weekend giving back to struggling students who needed help boosting their reading skills. Tables in the school library at McKinley Brighton Elementary School were packed with second graders, and in Syracuse, only about 17% of students in younger grades meet the state standard for reading. I think this is really cool. This is something that allows the team to give back to the community. Obviously, Syracuse, it's a college town, right? So the city itself is basically the college, and I know a lot of these kids in local schools look up to a lot of the athletes that play here at Syracuse. So I think it's a really nice thing to do.
Right, and that level of reading proficiency is alarming, and so hopefully this is just a little notch in the ladder that'll just get that reading level up.
Yeah.
Moving
on to other news.
Yeah, moving on to other news. There has been trouble at the Syracuse Hancock Airport. A loaded gun was found. A 33-year-old man from Somerset, New Jersey, was stopped by the Transportation Security Administration at the checkpoints because they found a 9mm handgun with 7 rounds of ammunition, The man had licenses for the gun in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but not in New York State, according to a police report. The man will not be charged because he had no criminal intent and it appeared to be an accident. What do we think of that one, Jack?
Wow. I don't know what to think of that one, to be honest. What do you?
You know, this is not the first incident. We've had a couple incidents of loaded handguns being found in the past several months here at this airport. So, you know, I think that for those that are traveling, especially if you hunt or if you keep guns for security, you know, all the power to you if you own them legally, but just make sure that, that you know where they're being stored.
Yeah, I feel like it's something when you own a gun for a while, it's easy to kind of forget that, okay, it's a weapon, you know? Like, you kind of just get used to it. I mean, I'm from Florida, and I certainly have friends that own guns, and, you know, after a while, you get so responsible with it that you just kind of forget that it's there, you know?
Right.
So, Tom Kenny at Syracuse, the voice of beloved children's cartoon character SpongeBob SquarePants, visited the Whitman School today to discuss his career as a voice actor. I was never really a SpongeBob fan. I was more Sports Center, Disney Channel, you know, kind of combine those two.
Really? I was a big SpongeBob fan growing up, especially seasons 1 to 3.
I don't think my parents allowed me to watch Nickelodeon or cartoon. It was basically Disney Channel. I stuck to that. But he discussed what it takes to build a creative career and his journey in the film, animation, and music industries, as well as his experience growing up in central New York, connecting with like-minded creatives in his career trajectory. Kenny also shared that his experience on the skills needed to embark on an entrepreneurial journey and how to find your own creative voice, inspiring a new generation to learn more about content creation, storytelling, and audience engagement. Pretty cool that he was able to be here, though. I don't think you really get more of an iconic voice than that, you know?
And he's voiced so many other iconic characters as well.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Well, one local Syracuse elementary school student is making history this week. An upstate New York girl is the youngest person to appear on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine. 10-year-old Honor Smoke of Akron Elementary School, appearing on the cover of Sports Re-Illustrated, which was released last week to celebrate young female athletes like herself breaking barriers in sports. The fifth grader from Tonawanda Reservation started wrestling at age 7 as the first girl to ever join the Akron Youth Wrestling Club.
Very cool, and we live in a very different society today where you can make money a lot of different ways and different avenues outside of just the sport you're playing. And so my advice to Honor is take advantage of the endorsement deals. Do everything you can.
And you know what an inspirational story that is. Honor, us and the CNY community are rooting for you.
Yep.
You know what? We had some of our own here at the Newhouse studios. Some of our own Newhouse sports broadcast students made their way to New Orleans for the big game. In fact, 8 of them traveled to New Orleans to participate in Super Bowl 59, part of that big media frenzy. The students from Newhouse School got to have fun engaging content, like embarking on a beignet tour of New Orleans and asking local fans if they could guess the logos of SU lacrosse's future opponents.
And I know our good friend Kobe Scales was making fun of you before, but I have to give you a little congrats. I did not want to see Philly or Kansas City in the Super Bowl, but I have to give you a little congrats on that game, man. That was nice.
To all my family and friends back near Philadelphia, if you root for the Birds, fly, Eagles, fly. What a win.
Yeah, and very cool that we got to have, you know, our own Syracuse students there as well. Very nice. But yeah, thank you for joining us tonight on the Cuse Chronicle. It's been great having you. We'll see you next Monday at 5. Thanks again. We're going to toss it back to Kobe.
welcome back to the NGN episode 4. Thank you to the Cuse, Chronicle, Orange Zone, and our entertainment section. Thank you to our producers, Tommy Rooney, James Bear, and Mary Gamrich. Sorry, man. That'll do it for this week. Check back weekly for NGN.